The rich think differently. Here's why. There is a question that has echoed through generations, a question whispered in boardrooms, studied in universities, debated in books, and silently asked by millions of people every single day. Why do some people rise from nothing, while others spend their entire lives standing in the same place? Why do some individuals transform adversity into opportunity, while others allow opportunity to disappear because of adversity? Why do certain people seem to attract success, while others spend decades chasing it without ever catching it? Most people believe the answer is money. Some believe it is education. Others believe it is luck, connections, talent, or simply being born into the right family. But history tells a completely different story. Andrew Carnegie arrived in America with almost nothing. Henry Ford failed repeatedly before changing the world. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Thomas Edison was called a failure thousands of times before he illuminated the world. Abraham Lincoln endured defeats that would have destroyed the spirit of an ordinary man. Yet every one of them shared something far more valuable than wealth. They shared a way of thinking, because wealth is rarely created by what is in your hands. It is created by what is inside your mind. Money follows value. Value follows thinking, and thinking follows belief. This is why Napoleon Hill spent more than 20 years studying the world's greatest achievers. He wasn't fascinated by their money. He was fascinated by their minds. Because if you understand how successful people think, you can eventually understand why they succeed. The rich do not simply earn more. They see differently. They interpret differently. They respond differently. When most people see an obstacle, they see a lesson. When others see risk, they see possibility. When the world sees failure, they see feedback. That single difference changes everything. Imagine two men standing before the same mountain. Both have the same weather, the same path, the same distance. One stares at the peak and immediately begins calculating every reason he cannot climb. The mountain is too high. The weather is too cold. The journey is too dangerous. The risk is too great. The second man studies the exact same mountain, but asks a different question. What kind of person will I become if I reach the top? Notice the difference. The first man focuses on the obstacle. The second focuses on transformation. One protects comfort. The other pursues growth. The mountain never changed. Only the thinking changed. And thinking always comes before results. Your life today is a reflection of the thoughts you repeatedly accepted yesterday. Every decision, every habit, every relationship, every opportunity, every success, and every regret was first created inside the invisible world of thought. The richest people in history understood something that most people overlook. Everything is created twice. First in the imagination, then in reality. Before a skyscraper touches the clouds, it exists inside an architect's mind. Before a symphony moves millions, it exists inside the imagination of a composer. Before an invention changes civilization, it exists as an invisible idea. Reality is always the second creation. The first creation happens inside the human mind. That is why your imagination is one of the greatest assets you possess. Yet most people abandon it the moment they become adults. Children dream without limits. Adults negotiate with fear. Children ask, "What if it works?" Adults ask, "What if I fail?" That single question quietly shapes an entire lifetime. Because the quality of your future is determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself. Successful people ask, What can I learn? Average people ask. Why is this happening to me? Successful people ask. How can I create value? Average people ask. How can I avoid discomfort? Successful people ask. What is possible? Average people ask. What is realistic? One question expands possibility. The other builds invisible walls. Most limitations are never created by reality. They are created by belief. The prison is rarely outside. It is almost always inside the mind. A lion raised among sheep will eventually begin behaving like one, not because it lacks strength, but because identity always follows environment. Human beings are no different. If you spend years surrounded by people who glorify excuses, you slowly begin accepting excuses as normal. If everyone around you fears failure, you unconsciously inherit their fear. If people constantly tell you that greatness belongs only to a fortunate few, eventually, your mind stops searching for greatness altogether. This is why protecting your environment is not selfish, it is necessary. Every conversation plants seeds. Every book plants seeds. Every video plants seeds. Every friendship plants seeds. The only question is, what kind of harvest are those seeds preparing? Napoleon Hill often emphasized that your mind becomes what you repeatedly feed it. Negative thoughts produce fearful decisions. Fearful decisions produce limited action. Limited action produces average results. And average results reinforce negative beliefs. It becomes a cycle. But the beautiful truth is this: the cycle can be broken. One new thought can create one new belief. One new belief can inspire one courageous action. One courageous action can change your identity, and a new identity can transform an entire life. Success has never been reserved for the lucky. It has always belonged to those willing to think beyond the limits accepted by everyone. Success has never been reserved for the lucky. It has always belonged to those willing to think beyond the limits accepted by everyone else. That is why wealth is never just a financial condition. It is first a mental condition. Long before a bank account changes, a mindset changes. Long before opportunities begin appearing, preparation begins. Long before the world notices your success, your habits begin transforming your future. The rich understand something that most people spend their entire lives ignoring. Your greatest investment is not in stocks. It is not in real estate. It is not even in business. Your greatest investment is in the person you become. Because everything you own today, every skill, every relationship, every opportunity, is a direct reflection of the value you have created. Money simply follows value, and value follows growth. This is why successful people never stop learning. The day they become successful is not the day they stop being students. It is the day they become even more committed to learning. Knowledge compounds, just like money. One book may not change your life. One conversation may not transform your future. One lesson may seem insignificant, but thousands of lessons, applied consistently, create a completely different person. Imagine placing a single drop of water onto a stone. Nothing appears to happen. Another drop falls. Still nothing. 1,000 drops later. The stone begins to change, not because of the power of one drop, but because of the consistency of every drop that came before it. Success follows the same law. Small improvements, repeated daily, become extraordinary results over time. The problem is, most people underestimate the power of consistency. They overestimate what they can achieve in a week and underestimate what they can become in 5 years. They want immediate transformation. Life rewards persistent transformation. Every morning gives you another opportunity to become 1% better. One better decision, one better habit, one better conversation, one better thought. Those small victories quietly shape an extraordinary future. The rich never become distracted by today's discomfort, because they are focused on tomorrow's reward. Average people sacrifice the future for temporary pleasure. Successful people sacrifice temporary pleasure for a greater future. That single exchange changes everything. Discipline is not punishment. It is delayed gratification. It is the ability to tell yourself, I deserve something greater than this temporary comfort. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you strengthen your future. Every time you choose learning over laziness, you expand your possibilities. Every time you choose courage over fear, you become someone your past self would hardly recognize. Think about an eagle. It never complains about the wind. It waits for it, because the very force that pushes smaller birds backward